to me on this subject today and about their involvement in companies that sell arms. And their reply was, oh, it's raining, and all our people have gone home early to avoid the wet weather. But they did give us a statement. I'll read it out a little later. This is what we got because it's been raining so hard today. The people who work for the Church of England had to go home early. I haven't got time to read it now. I'll read it after the news. Let's get back into the phone calls. 340-500 1053 89. Let's talk to last night about the Church of England being involved in selling arms and stuff like that. And I said, does anybody really give a monkey's nuts whether or not Charles and Camilla get married? I mean, do we care? Is it an issue? I don't think so. I don't think so. And, what's the Church of England getting their ecumenical knickers in a twist for? Because they only exist because another flipping king decided he wanted to have another woman. I mean, that's it. That's the reason for the Church of England's existence. How do people who work in the Church of England feel about this? Give me a ring, 340-500 1053 89. I couldn't get a spokesperson from the Church of England because it's wet tonight in certain areas and they had to go home. I can't believe that was their excuse, but they sent us this about their ethical investments. The commissioners must fulfill the strict legal duty imposed on those managing funds on behalf of others to achieve the best financial return. Within this objective, our ethical investment policy tries to be sensitive to social, ethical, and environmental considerations, and the views of church people in how this return is achieved, without compromising the interests of our beneficiaries. The policy achieves a workable balance between investment and ethical objectives and is also consistent with the High Court judgment in favor of the commissioners in 1991. We do not invest in any company whose main business is in one of 5 categories which raise ethical concerns: armaments, brewing and distilling, gambling, newspapers, and tobacco. In terms of armaments, we would not invest in companies which went beyond government to government dealing in the UK. We also do not invest in companies dealing mainly in weapons of war, but some of the companies we invest in do have a focused interest in defense. Being an investment fund whose responsibilities must be met year in, year out, the exclusion of entire sectors of the market is, given our size, not generally the first step taken in executing ethical policy if we are to achieve the consistency of return required. No. Thank you. Instead, we carefully monitor our investments in those companies with some interest in areas of ethical concern. Monitoring is complicated by the diversity of modern large companies. For example, distinctions between products used for defense-related and non-defense-related purposes are often blurred. The distinction between offensive and defensive equipment is also often unclear. We acknowledge the complexity and importance of the moral issues and the range of views held in the Church on this subject. The Church's concerns have been voiced not just through ethical investment policy, but also through serious consideration of arms transfer policy in the General Synod. The commissioners are not a campaigning body. However, we do seek to influence company behavior mainly through dialogue with the company to establish relevant facts. And we expect companies we contact to be open and transparent about the issues we raise. Ultimately, we can disinvest. The broadly consistent ethical policies of the Church Commissioners, the Central Board of Finance, and the Church of England Pensions Board, the Church of England's central investing bodies, are coordinated through the Ethical Working Group, which reports to the General Synod. The church commissioners have over 1.7 billion invested in equities, and the broadest possible spread of the market must be covered to achieve a balanced portfolio and limit risk. Our ethical policy currently excludes us from about 11% of UK stock markets, and in some years this affects performances positively, in others negatively. However, good stock selection has meant that the Church's central investment bodies have performed credibly against the benchmark over the long term. To exclude a greater proportion of the stock market than this would increase risk and might have a seriously detrimental effect on our performance. Thank you. And that was my latest hit, the press release of the Church of England Ethical Investment Policy. Okay, so there we are. The Church of England aren't that worried about it, really, because their ethical investment policy tries to be sensitive. Can't always be so. Tries to be sensitive. More worried about the money than anything else. Is this really the way? I mean, should an organisation that is supposedly there for our souls be investing £1.7 billion? Why doesn't it give it to the poor? Or why don't they mend the church roofs? I don't go to the Church of England churches. I went to a wedding and somebody shoved this tin in front of me, and my wife said, "You're supposed to put money in there." I said, "Stuff, I'm not putting money. I've got £1.7 billion. I'm not putting money in there." I want to talk to somebody who's a vicar tonight, and there will be some listening. I want to talk to somebody who's a bishop tonight, and there will be one listening. I want to talk to somebody in the Church of England who can make me understand why we have one. And I want to talk to somebody in the Church of England who can tell me why they're so upset about this flipping Camilla Charles thing when they only exist because of another king who set them up because he wanted to marry somebody else. I mean, let's face it. Charlie becomes king, he can set up another church. He could have the second Church of England. He could have the third Church of England. Can't he? Dead easy. Simple. Why didn't they think of that?